Hello and welcome. My name is Clemens, and welcome to IOI Insider Extra. Today I'm joined by lead and senior level designer Toge. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Today we're going to talk about a bit about both the Lost Assignation, the Lost DLC, and the Gluttony DLC, the Gluttony Gobble, and the creation of these, and more about creation of these escalations, the synth escalations in a total as well. But thank you so much, Toge, for joining us. It's great that you had the time. I know you're busy, all are, but that's super cool that you could find some minutes here with us today. So, can you tell us a little about who you are? Who is Toge? This is a very deep question, but it can be answered in many ways. But tell
Sure.
the fans who are you?
It's a deep existential question. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
It's super cozy to be here. I'm Toge. I have worked as a level designer in IO for a while. I studied game design at the IT University originally, and then came on to at IOI as an intern actually 7 years ago. And then it was pretty great here, so I've stuck around ever since, and have been doing so much level design since. I worked on Hitman 1 and 2 and then 3, and now on Hitman 3 Live. Um, and since January, I've been the lead level designer on Hitman 3 Live. Um, yeah, before that, I was a track owner on Bulldog, Death in the Family.
Mhm.
Always thinking code names,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's fine. Today we
that's how
can
it
do code
goes.
names. It start more. If
Yeah.
people have any, I think our fans know that, but start more. Yeah,
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 they've data mined enough to know
yeah. I think there's data
exactly
miner
what the
one or
code names
two.
are.
Yeah,
And yeah, and then I've helped the designers develop these DLCs about the seven deadly sins,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
been super fun.
Yeah, I get it. It also looks fun when we join you guys and talk with you guys, and we have weekly meetings with the teams and stuff. And it's really cool to see the progression within, also from how it started and where we are heading, right, for the Seven Deadly Sins. I think it's been a journey from the first one to now, and it's also cool for us to see how you guys are pivoting and changing the formula as you go as
Yeah.
well, because it's being built very. I think that's really cool. And also we had people coming in with feedback, players coming in with feedback, and that's been acknowledged and so on. But today we're going to talk a bit more about Lost because we had Victor on last time talking about Sloth,
Yeah.
and we didn't actually do anything. It was the first one we did. We did one before that with Osmus Honeygård where we talked about Hitman Blood Money. And also we will in the future also go back to more legacy stuff, talking about older Hitman games and Freedom Fighters and whatnot on these extra streams. And hopefully we can gather some cool people to talk about it as well. But today it's Lost and Gluttony. So I think we should start up with talking a bit about the creation of these seven editions. How did that come by? I mean, no, the idea was swirling around, but how did it actually become this that we see today? If you compare to older, let's say Hitman 2 escalations.
Yeah. So seven deadly sins was spawned after a lot of discussions about
Mhm.
what to do. And once we set out to do them, and we knew they were gonna be escalations, we had to figure out how do we make something that is distinctly stands out. That's like very different from what we've done before. That lets players do something new. Um, and we started out with greed, basing it mostly on what we knew from escalations from Hitman 1 and 2, and to some degree from Hitman 3, even though there weren't so many at the time. Um, and then adding extra systems on top, right? So for greed, for example, we added the coin carryover system where we try to encourage players to hoard coins by letting them carry over from level to level, and then making some really cool puzzles in there.
Mhm.
Um, and then as we moved on, we got some feedback from the community, and we played through the levels and saw what worked and what would we like to explore more. Um, and then as we went along, it became clear that the more we focused on systems that were integral to the experience, that like informed a whole experience, and the more we focused on puzzles that could be solved in a number of different ways, like open-ended play, um, the more we strayed away from the traditional, like very, very puzzly, very non-narrative escalation formula, but the more we also opened up to something that seemed to resonate a lot with the players.
Mhm.
Um, at the same time, we tried to move towards, instead of having filters and distortion effects, we tried to move on to actually redressing some areas, or in some cases, very large areas like For Sloth, we did like pretty
Yeah.
much the entire the Garden of Dartmoor, um, and sometimes it's a smaller bit like we see in Lost. And that really that actually more effectively makes the space feel very very different.
Hmm.
And in some cases, like for example in Sloth, it actually also affects the gameplay because you get new covers, you get new places where people can have roots,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. I remember
So
that from Sloth. Yeah.
so it evolved from something that was thought up to be a more crazy escalation into something that's almost like a small game mode. Like
Mm,
every package is a little self-contained game mode around a central premise, which lets us explore a lot of really really cool stuff. So
that's cool. That's pretty dope. Thank you. So let's talk a little more about today. I'm gonna play Lost in a while,
cool.
and soon try to play Lost, and we can talk about that while we go, and then after that we will move on to Gluttony. But I had one more question. Were you involved in any of the Dartmoor Garden show?
Yeah, I helped make some of that.
Yeah, I know it's always a big team effort, and there's a lot of
It
people
is a
involved.
big team effort, and that's also yeah that the more content you're involved with, the more you see just like how ideas and efforts come from everywhere. It's
Yeah,
like it's a big mash of cool creative energy. But yeah, I helped work on the design of the objectives, and then
hmm
of course I helped oversee the development of the remaining level as lead. Um, that one was a really interesting take as well, right? I mean,
yeah.
fundamentally, it's like totally turning Dartmoor on set, right?
Totally. I mean, it's super beautiful. The four different gardens and the change of day, and it's more bright and day. Like when you play the original Dark mission, it's dark and gloomy, and
Yeah,
like it fits the mission as well, right? The tone of the mission in the story. But when you play Dark Garden Show, it's a bit
yeah,
more beautiful, and you actually see the how beautiful Dartmoor is. Like it's not that cold, gloomy level. It's more like a sprawling, fun of level, full of life, and this
exactly.
randomized targets and stuff like that. Really, and I would think it was really appreciated, and it's a permanent thing that you can play now in Hitman 3. If you haven't played it, encourage you to go play it because it's really fun, and it's different take on the game. I would say. But let's go into the start with the first one, Lost Assignation, which is the Lost DLC mission. And can you tell me what's different from this escalation than compared to, let's say, other normal escalations?
Well, the most obvious point is, of course, that this is an escalation with one level.
Yeah,
It's an
yeah,
escalation that doesn't escalate in that sense, which
yeah.
is a little ironic. And the second thing is that while a lot of escalations revolve around continuously expanding setups or taking them in new directions, this one with its one level instead focuses on a degree of randomness,
Hmm.
where the level is a little different every time you play it. And this ties in very neatly with this clue mechanic
Hmm.
that Olivia, who did the level, built, where it's one big lovely game loop about seeing all of these potential secret admirers, then going out into the world and finding clues, and then coming back to pick the right one, which is not something we've seen in any escalation
No,
before, right? It's very different.
yeah, and I remember the first time I tried it, I asked Kevin about like, is there only supposed to be one level? And he was like, yeah, that's the idea. We was kind of booting it up, and I see where's the, and it was really enjoyed it really for, and also it's in Berlin.
Yeah.
Like at the first glance, it doesn't look like Berlin.
No, no,
It
no.
it takes you when you go up in the corners, you'll realize, okay, still in this nightclub, closed off nightclub. But when you really, this is really beautiful. I think that's something that big kudos to the team of set dressing. From I mean, even from Greed to Pride and Sloth and all of them, they are very different, and they feel very different from
Yeah.
playing them. Not only the 47's disguise looks I'm gonna say it, freaking dope in all of them. It really shines through, and
Yeah.
especially the velvet suit here in can't remember the name of the suit, but I really like the one in Lost because it's just sexy. I think it's really cool. But this opening shot, I hope it's on screen right now. I think it sets the theme really hard. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not in doubt that this is about Lost. I think it's the colors obviously, but also the setting. And how did you guys come up with that? First of all, why Berlin? Was that just a random, or was it like you needed to we need to use this location, or was it like this will fit perfectly here?
Yeah, I thought back and I was like, yeah, why did we choose Berlin?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I asked Olivia like, hey, so how did we end up with Berlin? And I think there was something nice about, well, first of all, it was a level that lent itself very well to the gameplay,
Hmm.
but also there was a nice contrast
Hmm.
between the very dressed central area here that's all very Isle of Scale-ish,
this
prettied up,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the rest, and I think that's something that resonated with the team as well, that you can actually see in the background the leftovers from the light show, right? It's the mashing of the very elegant, like more less lewd take on Lust, and then the more gritty Berlin, which when it comes together, it really works for this mission.
It does really, and I think that also that from the get-go that Berlin was perfect fit for Lost. So I think it was when you play just the ordinary Berlin. It's also it's just Berlin nightclub. It's like it has its Lost moments, even though in the lighting of the neon lights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. But so creating this mission as one stage escalation, it really develops into this detective part.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about how that came to be?
I think it was a very early idea, actually. I think so. When we develop these DLCs, usually the team gets together and they brain jam, they brainstorm, and try to come out like what would be a cool way to make an experience that encourages the player to indulge in this particular scene. And in this case, there was this one really strong idea that came up about what if you have to deliver a love letter or like make a match basically. And then the team iterated on that, and it became this thing about, okay, you have a number of people that it could be, but all of them are pretenders except for one, and you then need to go out where the core gameplay is and get the clues and then return. And then that shaped into this lovely hall with the sin manifested in the middle and everything. It's from there, I think it maybe that's just because I wasn't the one implementing it, but from there it seemed like it kind of wrote itself, right? It was just like, it was a really good idea where everything came together very neatly.
Yeah, I think also that shines through, that it's actually, if it's not like it's somewhat forced, it feels like very natural for the location as well to hold this detective mode, because there's so many. I mean, it's different levels you can go up quite easily, but also there's many, like, there's a good depth in it. I think that's a very nice touch.
And this room has this special attribute that, in the main mission, it's designed to be the big wow moment when you come down here. It's put in the bottom, in the center, but that also means that it just behaves really well as a starting location for this kind of mission where you want to go in like a star shave out to different clues, because it puts you as deep as you can go into this dungeon, so to speak, right? And then from there you can go and explore different directions, and it rewards you for knowing the map, but it also rewards you for knowing this particular sin, right? Because you know where the items are and where the safes are, right? Although they can be randomized.
They can be random. That's a cool thing. So it's not like I think like this randomness. It also helps you for replayability, of course, right? But it's also fun for me to have somewhat a different experience than you had the first time.
Exactly.
I think that's something I really, really enjoy about video games in general. Is this that we all have our own unique stories. I know, and Hitman specifically also have this somewhat randomness, even though it's not random, because you can be unlucky with NPC spawning, or you can just be timing correctly. So my story is completely different from others, especially with elusive targets. I get that.
Oh yes,
I see that. There's this thread on Hitman forum where they are written down all their takes and kills on all the elusive targets, and it's just funny to see how many different variations there is. You come to mind is just shooting point blank, probably most of it. That's my MO. But
well, if it works, right?
It works somewhat.
Works.
I think it's okay. It's not the best way, but it gets the shit done.
Yeah.
So okay, I gotta say something. Do you know anything about this crossbow? The Serpent's Tongue. I think that it just remember when we showed the reveal trailer for this the Lost DLC. People were just, oh my god, so there's a crossbow. That's the first thing they saw, like a crossbow. And is it explosive? Is it what does it do? And
I guess no one was gonna guess it was a blinding dart crossbow, right?
No.
That's a very exotic way of making a crossbow.
Yeah. Oh, one thing you said about, which I wanna ask about, is like what you said about when you in Berlin, when we played the original mission, you come down the stairs and you come down to this full nightclub, and you get this almost overwhelming effect of there's so many people, and it's just music. It's just cool. But I actually think that you achieve the same thing almost in this mission when you come from the, let's say, the fly-in little briefing there is when you wake up and you sit there in the chair and you get this wow effect, because you just transform into this area. So did you spend a lot of time on this area? You know?
I think they did. I mean that is really an art question, to
Yeah,
be
I know.
honest. But it is.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they didn't. It's just too gorgeous. It's so nice. There's also this lovely. I don't know if you can hear it on the stream, but there's this lovely sound effect as well, like the breathing
Mm.
and that I think Evo did, and
Yeah,
it
that's
feels
really
like
cool.
a breath,
Yeah, like
right? And then with the Isle Scale music, and then it just it's so nice.
it's a perfect wrap. I really think it's really cool
Super
package.
cool.
So do you have a favorite part of this DLC? Like, was there something that you were extraordinarily happy about making work, or was there something that you struggled with having to work? That we made it fine, but the randomization of the finding the keys, for instance, or
I'm very happy that we managed to make the keys random.
yeah,
Or are they random? The saves are random. I know
saves
that
random.
much.
I can't remember what the keys are.
That's a really good question. Huh. But the
I just
thing
need
that
Martin. Can you unpause our chat?
oh yeah,
We're still at hey.
blind to all the comments. But I think for me personally, what I thought was coolest about it is the way that the team made the whole loop wrap nicely on
Yeah.
itself. Like I just love it when you can have a central premise that concludes nicely as a little narrative, and in this case, you even start in the same space as you end. You start by looking at the people that you're then later gonna call, either figuratively or literally, and then everything springs from there, right?
Yeah.
And that it's like a sense of catharsis when you're done. You've been out into the world, you've returned, and then hopefully you've made the right choice. And there's this tension when you hand over the bouquet. You really hope it's the right one.
Is it the right one because you know what the outcome is going to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then that's just super nice when it works. I think the way that we managed in a single escalation to achieve that loop that feels so self-contained is really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a huge challenge, and I'm not looking at my phone. I'm looking at my questions I wrote down.
Yeah.
But so we have probably touched based on and talked about it. But how was it like the entire creation phase? How was it to create Lost? How was like was it the feeling of like it has to be Lost? How do we capture this sin?
I think
Was it what did the first come up in hand? Like the detective loop is not probably that much of a loss, but the end goal is, right?
yeah. So what we tried to do with the Sins DLCs was always to, whereas the elusive targets were about characters in the world, usually targets that embody a sin. For the Sin DLCs, we really wanted the player in 47 to exhibit the sin. So we wanted to nudge the player to play in a way that would be greedy or gluttonous, right? And in this case, it was really hard to pull off because 47 is not really a lusty character in the traditional sense.
No.
And we're not gonna make a lewd game, right? And we're not gonna try to make a game that makes the player lusty. But what we could do was encourage the player to be the matchmaker, right? And find lust in that way. And the moment that the team pitched this idea about matchmaking and finding the right one in a flock of people, I think it clicked, and we thought, yeah, this is something that we believe in. And if I recall correctly, it was also a moment where the entire team felt like, oh yeah, this is it.
And I remember
cool.
the first time you showed it. I remember that the team showed it, and we were like, okay, yeah, we see it. It's there, right? And a lot of people were like talking about they wanted the 47 in a gimp suit or whatnot.
Yeah.
But he's still like the classic guy, right? So he's not. So he's. Yeah. I think he's a bit more over in a like a Hugh Hefner vibe than he's in a like dungeon.
Yeah, exactly.
SM party vibe, and I think that's a very like cool and also still professional take on it because it's Agent 47. It's not Kane Lynch. That could be gritty and
yeah. I mean, 47 can be gritty, but in a controlled fashion.
Exactly, he's a gentleman.
Not too much.
Yeah, exactly. It always comes down
gritty.
to the gentleman gritty, right? Yeah. These people are they like make the player lusty. Some people want it to do. Yeah, but I think it's really cool, and I hope people have played it because I played it and it's I failed sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's
I wonder if this is something we can comment on though. The last comment down there.
uh, where do you see it?
How much time does it take to make a sin?
That's I don't know. Do you know? It takes various time. That's different. But I see another question here. That's why showing off 2 old escalation? That's 2 months old escalation. And that's because we didn't do extra stream. Now we have Torgut who worked on all of them, so we might just get some cool snacks and some cool info on the lost escalation.
Escalation.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah. But we're going on to Gluttony in a bit and very soon. For me, 2 minutes. If you complete it in 2 minutes, that's pretty good.
I kind of find that hard to believe, honestly. Unless you have a very direct route to like 3 clues and you get a very lucky seed. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if we Google it, we'll find someone who did it in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, let's move on. I think we go to talk about the newest one, which I'm very very excited about because that I really like that escalation. I like this one as well, but this is a more the Gluttony one is a bit more of a classic one in the setup of stages, but then again very different from your usual
Exactly.
Hitman escalation. You have to do some pretty alternative cooking for this pig.
Exactly.
And I think let's just go.
I think it's probably the first time that we've let the player choose the targets. Basically, like technically it doesn't have targets. It just has people that you're allowed to harvest. Which is interesting because not only did we or the team Victor, the designer on it, achieve quite a high degree of freedom of approach for each of the puzzles. There's also a whole other degree of freedom that we haven't seen in any Hitman scenario before, where you choose which target to engage with, right? And not just out of a pool of a few, but like out of a lot of options. And I think it's super fascinating because you have to reason as the player. First, solve the puzzle to find out, based on your intel and the tools available, how do you get this ingredient you need? But then also remember, where are these characters hiding out, which is knowledge from the main mission, which is always nice to be rewarded for your playtime, right? Because Hitman is a game that encourages replay.
Yeah, of course, and I really like that. Like if you know, like I know exactly where I can find this.
Exactly.
You learn your approaches, you learn your way to go. It's like a puzzle game, right?
And then the thing that I think is really really cool is that once you then know where you can find these people and how you get the items from them, then you have to choose which one of them to get.
Yeah.
Because you could just pick, like if you need to get 2 fish, you could pick any of the eligible gosh. You just need to pick 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
But then you have so many ways of finding optimal routes depending on your strategy. And the more you know, the better routes you can take, right? So it's the entire paradigm that encourages replaying and optimizing. And because you get some of the same ingredient requirements again on later levels, even if you don't choose to replay the entire escalation, you will be replaying and benefiting from your knowledge from earlier, right?
Yeah.
And that's I don't know. I think that's a really interesting way of creating a replayable level.
I actually, that's very nice insights because it actually makes sense. Because I think that when I played the first time, I didn't know I didn't know what to expect because I've heard rumors that you were going to do this cooking. You had to find recipes. You had to do these things, but I hadn't tried it. So I went in. Somewhat didn't know I knew something, but then I got in and I picked up my items and I went down to the lab to get my I think I need meat or something, I can't remember. And I threw the wrong stuff and I didn't get penalized. There was no penalty. He just got knocked. I didn't lose the mission. It was just like I got mocked by the sin, like idiot, right? I'm like, what are you doing? That's not how you do it. I was like, what? I'm doing it. Like, well, I'm doing what you want. And I read the intel, like, oh, okay. I'm just an idiot. So he was right. And I think this sin that keeps commenting on your approaches. I think that also was it in Pride? It also, if you did it wrong, it was after you, like it was mocking you a bit. I think the sins talking to you, and this especially in this level, I think it was very encouraging and discouraging at the same time. It was really nice made because I felt like I was an idiot, but I was an idiot because I didn't read my intel. I just went for my gut instinct and like I'm gonna do it like.
But that's a very classic way of learning in games, right? That you try something and then it doesn't work, and then you try something else, or you read and then you find out what works, and then you had a little learning experience, right? And then you build on that.
And I think that in especially in the Gluttony Gobble, I think this is a very nice also the replayability in this one is fun because it's you can, as you said, you can do it many ways, different ways. And then the pigs. So the pig, how I know, like gluttony, everyone knows that gluttony is about food and about we have a sudden we know stuff, right? But what is the pig? Why a big pig? You know that?
I think it's because when you look up the traditional animals associated with each Christian biblical sin, for gluttony, it's apparently the pig, which is maybe not a big surprise.
I know it is. It makes total sense.
And it just there was something I know Victor really liked the idea of feeding the pig.
Yeah.
And it's just there's something very basic about it that's
Yeah, it
really
is.
nice. It's a fundamental thing. Like a pig is something that just eats and eats and eats, and that's just very gluttonous in a nice way.
Yeah.
And the idea of this, like personally speaking, like the moment I heard the idea about a big golden pig in the middle of a restaurant with a trough in front of it, was like, yes, that's gluttonous. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And again, when we boot up the game, do you have it on screen? Cool. We can see this. That this is Chongqing.
Chongqing pronunciation.
Yeah,
sorry.
that's my. I'm doing it. Yeah, that's the hurdle for me. I keep calling it Chongqing, but I think it's pronounced Chongqing.
It might be. I don't even want to try.
No. I'll take the bullet for that one. I've done it a million times, so that's fine. Let's go for that. We boot up, but again, we start up like this is not how it normally looks when you play this very beautiful level. And I actually on Hitman Forum had a discussion, or I just asked people what made this level, not the Gluttony Gobble, but the Gluttony DLC, but the normal Chongqing. What it is, right? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the light? Is it the streets? Is it the rain? What is it that makes this level so impactful? Is it because it's raining has contracts vibe? What is it actually, right? And there's fans have just been there's many comments on how many things there is in this level, and people saying, it's my favorite in the franchise and stuff like that, which is really, really cool. Really love this location as well. But then seeing it messy and not messy, but just like gluttonous. It's a weird mix between. It's a little messy. It's not beautiful. Like it's not like a beautiful dining table set for a good dinner. It's like there's just food everywhere.
Yeah.
And when we go into the restaurant, I think that's where it really kicks off. When you go up the stairs, I think this is where you see the pig for the first time, and it's just plates everywhere. Someone has been having a lot of food, right? And like I really think, and this is where he is. I think when I saw this, I was like, okay, this works. Yeah. So
I'm glad.
I really liked it, and I'm not biased at all.
No, of course not. That's also the thing. Like, of course, we're gonna praise these people. We love what they do. So
yeah. But they're doing a beautiful work. The entire team making these sins shine so much through in these missions. I was in the beginning, and before we made them, I remember like, how is they gonna capture this? But when I saw the first drafts, I'm like, okay, this is how it will work. I really like it.
Even though we toned down the grew less dependent on the idea of making the player and 47 exhibit a sin as we went along, because we focus more on creating a very unique experience.
Yeah.
In this one, there's actually a hint of it. I think the team actually managed to do this thing where you collect what you need, but then you really want to pick up that extra thing for the optional objective, because it's just one more, it's just two more. It's like, I just want one more cupcake, right? It's like I totally recognize it from real life. It's that instinct to like, it's just one, I can do that, and and it's also playing an instinct from Hitman, right? Because it's something you do, right? It's like, I already have enough things to throw around, but I want to bring this hammer with me just in case I need it. Right? I'm just
You should see my inventory in Hitman. I play making. I loot everything. I'm glad he has buttonless bag. I mean, I have pockets. I have hammers, screwdrivers.
That's what the cape is for, is to hide all the stuff he has hanging from his
pockets.
That's
why I have a question about. I mean, the cape. Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen a proper cape since the Vampire Magician.
Yeah, they're hard to make work, I bet. I'm not a character artist.
No, I know, but
I
just
really cool, right?
It looks. I mean, it adds so much. I really think this is. But I saw the cape and I asked Kevin the live producer, like, is there a cape? And me and Travis were like, a cape?
A cape?
Is there a cape? Great. I really think this is cool. But see, this is where I failed, right? Because I didn't go in and read the intel. I just listened to what it wanted. I looked at the picture, didn't read the intel. I was like, okay, meat cleaver, here we go, let's go. And then I just ran to the
I
So,
don't think that's entirely your fault though, Clemens. I think we could have made it. Yeah, maybe that's a learning. The Intel menu is something you can miss. So
yeah,
that's good.
I
That's some user testing right
yeah,
there.
I missed it because I was just playing and like we didn't think about it that much. But I really, I'm like, okay, makes sense.
Oh, I love those pictures, by the way.
Yeah, they are so
Ah.
really cool. And also the pig theme is just it's just shining through with the masks, the different color masks, and then you do this very alternative cooking without making it barbaric, like because it's still again like
Yeah.
Lost, it's stylish, it's somewhat within the 47 theme. He wouldn't eat human raw. He
No,
wouldn't
exactly.
put humans up for eating. He would crush them in a grape presser, sure. He would
Exactly.
put them in a leaf crusher, whatever they're called, sure.
There were
Just
actually
posing.
ideas that were a little more macabre.
I could imagine, and especially
Yeah,
for this one, I could
exactly.
imagine that would been up on the table.
But then what we ended up, I think there was just a point where this turned out to be. This is the right degree of gross.
Yeah,
What we want to do, where it's still a degree of classy, while you still feel it's gluttonous.
exactly. And I
That's
think that again is the perfect balance because it can really fast become disgusting. Or and same as with Lost, it can be very also disgusting or repellent for some people that don't
yeah.
like it. This is still keeping very much within the theme, but also, so as you said, pushing the players to do new stuff and trying to get them to try new stuff.
And I think now when you compare it to Lust, there's actually something fun when you look at them both because what they do is they go to the point where it's playful, right? And then the rest is in your imagination. Like we're not gonna be lewd and we're not gonna be cannibals, right?
No.
We're gonna play around with the sins and then that's it.
And I think that's okay. I mean, that's also sometimes even better because then my fantasy will go places where you don't want to go, right? I mean, where you shouldn't go. You know what
No
I'm
thanks,
saying?
I'm good.
So I think that's that's perfect. So I know where. Can you remember? I always have to wait for this check because I can't remember the code. So it's zero. Yeah,
I'm a
zero
bad
one
player.
18.
I always just look it up. I'll be honest. Like our
Or you can just
players are so
follow her. We
helpful.
can make her. We can make her do the work.
Yeah.
So
She
it's
enters it.
0 1 18. She says tells you and then she opens and she goes in. Because you can lure us. This is the first. So
I don't think this is actually where you're supposed to be, is it?
isn't it?
Ah, you're playing the first level, right?
Yeah, it's the first stage.
So
Isn't it down in the lab?
I think it's in the block.
That's maybe more. I remember. I just maybe what stage is it? Then I have to go down. I just remember there's one of them I have to go down.
I
And
think
kill.
it's in 2. I think it's
Harvest
both
needy
the
bones. You
block
need the
and
bones. The mark. I see facility. See, yeah, the brown mask at the ICA facility.
But that's for meat bones, right?
Mhm.
But right now you're collecting fish and
Okay. Yes. Okay. Then that's why.
Ah.
Oh, God. This is just me being a noob. It's always hard to talk and play.
Yeah, I imagine.
I mean, streamers. Yeah. I take my Danish to head for them.
Yeah.
That is, I think it's a really tough
Ooh.
challenge. Yeah, I'm just gonna love it.
I'm glad I'm not holding the controller.
Oh, but I usually play. What is your favorite part of this mission? Do you have anything that just stands out for you? Was it? Is there anything you come to mind? I know it's a hard question. It's like.
No, I actually think like for me, it's the fact that now I know we just messed it up, right? But the fact that the mapping between weapons used to eliminate guards and the color of the mask and the items that you then get and how that relates to the dish you're serving, like appetizer, main course, or dessert. The fact that the team managed in the end to make that all come together in such a neat way with a limited number of moving parts. I think that's really elegant design, and that makes my designer heart happy. So when I saw that version, that iteration, when that just worked, I was like, yeah,
this is good.
Good job, guys.
You
Now it
some,
works.
you
This
also
is
get some
cool.
appraisal here. I love the freedom you had with this one, like choosing your own targets, as you said. It's like it is really cool, and I just would like to have it in the summer party to wear it. What was remember the biggest? I know it's a tough one to always like challenge. What was the biggest challenge to get working on this? Was it the
There were probably a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I
I know it's a hard
remember.
question.
Yeah, it's a hard question, and there's probably a bunch of stuff the team did that I haven't actually
Yeah, I know.
even
I
word
know.
about.
Yeah,
But
disclaimer.
one of the things that we struggled a lot with in the end was the damn trough,
Hmm?
because we tried really hard to avoid just making it a prompt to insert items,
Mhm.
because it feels more physical and tangible to be throwing items into the trough.
Yeah,
But
makes
getting
sense.
that to register reliably was actually surprisingly hard. It's like the weirdest things in game design that just turn out to be hard, because you'd think that was easy. And I know Victor spent a lot of time on it. I even spent some time on it myself, and it was like whenever we thought, oh, now it's working 100% of the time, then those damn QA people,
It's not working.
they're
For
way too smart, and they just found, this angle it doesn't work. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
back to the drawing board. And
Yeah.
then eventually it works. I think almost completely reliably, which is really nice, because
Yeah.
it's a really nice feeling when it actually goes a little plop and it counts up, and you get the the voice feedback saying more,
Yeah,
or piggy once more.
yeah,
And it's
I
like,
like that.
super
But
nice.
it's super nice point you have, because it will feel a little anticlimactic if you just went up, drop.
Yeah, kind
Like,
of.
yeah,
You
like
know,
you did this mission you got the items, now just go hand in
exactly.
hand.
And
It's like,
sometimes you need to make those, like you got a ship, right? And sometimes you have to make those sacrifices to make something that works.
mm,
But in this case, we really wanted
yeah,
you to throw it in, and I'm just so happy that that worked out
yeah,
in the
I
end.
get that. I can get that. This is yeah, really cool. We don't have time to play the entire escalation, unfortunately. People could play it themselves.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like on this one, if you had to find every target and take them out, like there are
Yeah,
just
I think it
so
took me
many
a
possibilities.
it took me quite some time the first time, just also because this level I really like just walking around, and then the atmosphere in this level, and then just walking around with this cape.
I love what the artist did with this food out here as well.
Yes,
It's
it's just.
super nice.
But again, right? It's very gluttonous. It's not like delicious. It's like overwhelming, much,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't sausage like that. It's like no thanks. I
You know what
wouldn't eat it.
Victor told me yesterday? He
No.
said that when he did research for this, he looked up images of gluttony,
Mhm.
and he said, at a point that face got pretty disgusting,
Oh, I get that.
and then it was nice to leave that behind
I
afterwards.
get that. It's also in the movie Seven. I think that's the most disgusting
Oh.
scene. Is the gluttony one,
Yeah,
and they find a big obese guy. Oh my god, that's stuck in mind. And I heard the Seven Deadly Sins. I went, oh no.
Yeah, we don't want to do 7 for sure.
No, because that's
such gruesome ways
yeah,
to
that's
go.
a gruesome way to go.
Thankfully, 47 is way too classy for that.
Also, it is in his mind, right?
Although
It's
I could see him strangle someone in like a chain of sausages, like that.
that could be that would
Maybe.
work. That would work. But I would definitely do that in poison stuff here. Okay, but I think that sums up what we're gonna say a little about the escalation. Is there something you want to add to any of them? It can be of everything, not the two next ones, not the
No.
Enemy and Wrath, but
Just
there's-
you wait.
Yeah, just
No,
wait. Yeah.
oh, it's gonna be great. But
I
no,
agree,
it's been really really fun. Like just seeing everyone having a new thing in it that we
Yeah.
didn't think we could do.
Yeah.
Like there are the small things like on sorry, I always mix up these. On Pride, when you get the game changers, like after you get an objective, and you didn't know, right? It's just dynamic, it just pops up, like you have to also hide the bodies.
Mhm.
To the things with the randomized saves in Lost, right? It's like these little things and the big things just make it so refreshing, right?
Yeah.
And it's because we get to do these dreamlike scenarios, we get to do what we normally can't do in Hitman. Like it doesn't have to be grounded in a narrative or in reality. We can play around with the systems, we can play around even with the voiceover, and it's exciting every time to see
Yeah.
what comes out of it. It's super super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, just you wait.
I'm really excited for the next one, when people are gonna see that for the first time, and we will reveal that on Thursday.
Ooh.
Yes,
Very
not this
cool.
Thursday, next Thursday, the 23rd. We will have the ordinary IOI live stream where me and Travis will be back, and we will talk about the upcoming season of Envy. So look forward to that. But before we wrap up and everything, we still have some time. I have a question for you.
All right.
What is your favorite video game? I know it's a tough one. I know this is like people can easily name 10 video games, so it's not the best, but one of your favorite games. What got you into game development? Was it a game, or was it the passion for video games? What was it?
I think one of the earliest formative games was probably Banjo Kazooie.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really, I've been playing a lot of Super Mario 64 as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, and I love that game. But then when I played Banjo Kazooie, there was like a sense of worldness
Mm-hmm.
and togetherness, and a way that the levels were interconnected and used the mechanics in creative ways that just resonated a lot with
Yeah.
me. And I find when I when I think about designs even now, there's sometimes I go like, but how would they do it in Banjo Kazooie?
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it may
but
have
that,
been
yeah.
what 20 plus years or however long, but it's still like, yeah, there was some really good designs and some really brilliant art and amazing music that's just like, yeah, that definitely stuck with me.
Yeah,
It's a really, really cool game.
that's nice because it's also that like not the most typical game you hear from people. They're like
No,
always
no.
like, oh, it's
Quake.
a Quake or
Yeah.
Doom or Mario, right? But
Yeah.
Banjo Kazooie, I remember that. I played that as well.
Mhm.
I was actually one of the. I actually surprised they didn't make more of those games.
I
To
think
be
they made two and then some spin-offs.
yeah.
And then it kind of was laid to rest. But there's a spiritual or an actual spiritual successor that came out. What's that called? That's Yooka-Laylee, I think.
Yeah.
And then there was this Danish indie company that made a thing called A Hat in Time,
Hmm?
which is
Yeah, I
really
remember. I remember that.
that's actually quite brilliant.
Yeah,
Like
I had the
I've
time.
played that so much, and it
Nice.
felt just like being back in those
Okay,
days.
so yeah,
It's
that's nice.
yeah, that gave me my fix, so to speak. That
like,
was really nice.
that's so
Yeah.
cool. We still have some time minutes left, so if there's any questions in chat you want to ask Toge about but has like about level design in particular or game development, now is your chance. Or um, yeah, if you have any questions, I'm basically Mario 64 for Gen Z. That's true.
Yeah.
And
It's funny because I can't help but take on my analytical hat when I played, and like the structure where depending on which mission you choose in the level, it changes a bit. Actually, reminds me more of Sunshine. So I would agree, but disagree a little bit. I would actually say it's closer to Sunshine if I'm being really pedantic about it. But otherwise, I agree. Yeah, my favorite QA. I can't be playing favorites here.
I can see his Pepper was writing it in
Ah,
QA.
well, shit.
Not him. No. So, what is what have I can ask you a question, but I have questions for you. They don't. Not a
Oh,
question, just want
that's
to say.
nice.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Jonas. GGCW. It's really cool, and I also think that this is what I think when the team has shown like the powers of what we can do, like from greed to lust already, to gluttony, how much they are different. I think that they are
Mm,
very different in the ways they play, and a lot of fans also speculate that they get better and better and better, and I also think that's because we're learning more and more, right?
yeah.
And but I think that they're all equally good, but I think that there are some elements in the newer ones that really like hits the spot for me at least.
Yeah, I think we've definitely learned from the feedback, and I think the newer ones may resonate more with what the community wants. Of course, you guys will be the judges of that, right? But I gotta agree. I really like the design of the early ones as well. There are some puzzles
Yeah,
in
I
Greed that I
totally agree.
really like.
And
So
the king that drops a coin when you use it, I think
that is funny.
it's just
Yeah,
fun to
that's
use.
nice.
It's real nice. You get the
Yeah.
coin you can use. Uh, there's a question: how did you decide the cities to feature these levels? So is it?
And that was a complicated process that involved
I guess that you want to
several
use all
people.
of them, right? At some point,
Yeah,
because that would be cool. Not only do like 7 in Dubai. It would be probably been a bit. I mean,
the seven deadly
lazy
Dubai.
boy.
Yeah, that would be a
There are
little.
7 days of Dubai, right?
Yeah.
But did you go in and actually take a level? I mean, Dubai, it's a. I think that's the most easy one to fit, right? I think that Dubai, it's already made of gold, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. That
it was
made
an easy
sense.
fix. But I can imagine that the others have been harder to place. As you said, very nice thing about the Lost one makes sense in Berlin,
Yeah.
but but the Gluttony, I actually think that when you play it now, you wouldn't think of any other location that would have been better. You know what I'm
No.
saying? Because when I open up here, like there was, I saw someone wrote in the question, like it feels like that the restaurant was built for the pig. So when you come up, he fits
Mm.
perfectly there.
Mm.
I mean, it's like
I
that's
can
his corner.
I can tell you, like at least speaking for Victor, who is the level designer on this, that was exactly why he wanted this level, right? He saw this restaurant. And he actually knew because he had worked on the story mission. He was like, I want to put a pig in here. and then it was like, okay, this is what we're doing. Yes, it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
It was, it's a really good match, I think. I mean, it's a big empty restaurant. Where
Well,
else?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
But I mean, Dartmoor and Sloth must have been like
That was a little more creative, right? I think that was spawned for a number of different reasons. Like one of them is that we want to take you to all the locations, right? We want to try them all out. And then there was something nice and open and perhaps underused about the garden. Like we hadn't used it so much. So there was a chance to spread around some targets and play with a new mechanic, and then really utilize that space in interesting ways. And then when the propping came in with all of this, well, trash littered around, it was
trash,
like, wow, that felt good because it was such a stark contrast to the mansion, and so that just made sense. That was a little less obvious, but in the end, it made a lot of sense. I think we've managed to match them pretty well. In the end.
And also for the upcoming ones, I totally agree. It feels
Yeah.
teasing and teasing and teasing.
Oh, but it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of questions that will there be more 47 Diana moments together? Well, you'll figure it out. We can't answer. There's not, fortunately, some questions we can't answer.
Oh, that's the thing. I'm just gonna let you.
This is fine. I could be the. Keep me coming back to the game. There is also here. Thank you for the relatively beautiful and interactive design. It keep me coming back to the game through the years, and I think that's also the strength of these. I mean, there are so many cool details in all the levels. Also, both in the Seven Deadly Sins, but also, I mean, in the ordinary levels, right?
Yeah.
The level of detail is what makes the Hitman game, and also all the ways you can do it. There's not only one way, right? It's what makes Hitman great is this.
That's also, we hold it to a bit of a different standard than I imagine most games do, because it has to feel really good to play the first time, but it also has to feel really good to play the 100th time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, and it still has to have something to explore when you've played it 20 or 30 times, right?
Yeah.
And that vision leads to some very iterated upon intricate designs that, I don't know, I think it's amazing to work on. I think it's amazing to play, and it's always nice to see players who then share their experience and say, yeah, this is what we like. We get this. That's really, really cool.
Please give us an option to change the menu music with the music of 3 war games. That's a good idea, actually. I don't. But right now, you can actually, the easiest way you can do that is mute the music in game and then download the soundtracks and then play the music. And that's a little more manual way to do it, but that is the way to do it.
I'm hearing a request for a jukebox item.
That could be. I mean, I actually think it would be cool that you scroll through the games and they could, if you go to Hitman 1, it'll be the Hitman 1 theme music. I think that's a good idea. We can easily take that and tell it to someone. Not promising anything though, but. Is there anything here? We are running out of time. We have 1 minute left. Is there anything you want to add or say about anything? Now's your time, Toby. You have 60 seconds.
No, I guess it's just, well, I'm saying no and then I'm talking. Shoot. It's really, really fun to get to talk about this. And it's really, really fun to do live content because we get to release it and see how people react, what they like and what they don't like. And then hopefully take that with us when we do the next version, the next installment. And then we learn, not in these very long cycles that games usually take, but in like micro versions of that, which resonates very well with doing these very experimental missions, for example, right? So we can learn so much and develop so much new stuff, and at the same time feel more in touch with the community.
Yeah, that's also, I think that's a very nice part of our job, is like that we actually come with frequently new stuff, and we can see if this is the right way. This didn't work that well. We can pivot our game model somewhat, of course, only, right? But I think that we are with Hitman 3. We just got a very nice nomination for PC Gamer. Did you see that? Like,
very humbling.
Did you see the alien comment? That was quite funny.
Like, shit, pressure is on.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the engagement now. It's for real. But I saw it was okay. There's a question about the merch store. When are you going to get to merch in the merch store? What does that mean?
IOI merch. Yeah. Merch store is the
question. IOI merch. We don't have IOI merch.
Do we only have Hitman merch?
We only have Hitman merch.
Oh.
You know what? I'll tell it to my merch man. He's sitting right here. You get IOI merch. Noted. The request for IOI merch is noted. Let's see if we can make something happen with that. All right, we're out of time. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and thank you for your time, Toge. It has been a pleasure, and we could be talking more about levels, and especially, but we also in a very like there's so much things that's coming right around the corner that we can't talk about, which is really really cool. But on next Thursday, the 23rd, we'll be back with Travis and we will talk about the upcoming Sin and also what's coming up in the season of that Sin. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. And I'll see you next on the next IOI Insider Extra.
Well, hello, 47. After so much sinful indulgence, I'm sure you must be famished. And I have just the right task for you. My piggy friend is a real gourmand, and it shows, so he can't really move around. It's the nature of a pig. Go find him. He will give you his wish list for an appetizer that he is preparing. Bring him what he wants, and he will reward you. Now go, 47. Fill the pig.